Hello. Hello, people. Hello. Just going to put my socks on. How is everyone? Everybody good? Hi, Sybil. Yes, alas, Joel will not be with us today. I know. Isn't that a shame? How is everybody? Everybody good? Happy brunch. Happy brunch. Oh my God, let me get comfortable. I like to be in my cross leggies. Good to see everybody. Yeah, so welcome to Sunday brunch. Let me clear my throat. Oh my goodness, so much to talk about. So much to talk about. How are all of you? Do welcome to everybody who's joining us today. Please take a seat as we extend our table to the four corners of the earth. My name is Whimsy, and this is my story. Yes, I am Whimsy, and this is my story. Where's my... Huh. Why is it not? Oh, how annoying. Here it is. Old friends, old friends. Okay. We are raising money for Hope for Pause. I just had to put the charity up. Thank you for your patience. We are having our Sunday get together. We get together every Sunday and we welcome you from the four corners of the earth. This is the Oracle of Whimsy's Sunday brunch, our infamous Sunday brunch. We've been getting together, gosh, 7 years now? Is that right? Anybody can join us if you want a brunch partner. Some people go to restaurants and they open up the app and then they have brunch with us while they're at a Witherspoon or wherever having a lovely brunch. And then they tell us, oh, yes, I'm at Witherspoon and I'm having, yes, eggs and whatnot. Yes. So be sure and tell us who you are, where you're coming from, what you eat and what you're drinking at your table. Yeah, I just got out of a shower, put a little makeup. Yes, do you like it? Just a little, not too much. Yes, I don't like to go overboard. No, I'm not an overboard type of a girl when it comes to makeup. Just a bit of a tad here and there, to wake up the eyes. Yes, to wake up the eyes, as they say. And no breakfast yet. I have not broken fast. Broken fast. Excuse me. I have taken my blood pressure and made a cup of coffee. That is as far as I have gotten in my day. Who here starts their day by taking their blood pressure? Today, my blood pressure was 105. excuse me, 105 over 80. All right, so that is the first thing I do. I get up in the morning, I have my constitutional, make myself a cup of coffee. And then we, excuse me, sorry, I haven't talked yet today, so I'm clearing my throat. And then we check our blood pressure. And also, if you can get your heart rate up, that I check your heart rate, that is great as well. What is your fasting? I mean, your your morning blood pressure. Oh, I really should exercise my voice before I start talking. Yeah, so my heart rate was 77. This is my blood pressure after one cup of coffee. Before coffee, I think my diastolic might have been a little bit lower, probably 105 over, I don't know, 75, we'll say. Went up a couple points. And my heart rate probably went up a couple points. So I would say for a senior, that's an excellent blood pressure. What do you guys think? 63 years old. So what are you guys doing? Are you checking your blood pressure daily? What are some of the things you're doing to lower that blood pressure to reduce your risk of a stroke? Talk to me. What are you doing? What are you doing to oh, I could have just gone like that. See that? Yeah, what are you doing to reduce your risk of stroke? Excuse me. Clear that throat of mine. So we talked about here are the top 5 things you can do right now to drop your blood pressure 20 to 50 points. Let's do this. You guys want to help me? All right. Yes. So the first is, oh my God, I got to clear my throat. The first thing to lower your blood pressure is calorie restriction. That means that you're going to calculate what your BMR is. All right, this is for people who have hypertension and who are overweight. You want to your base metabolic rate, right? So go ahead and calculate your base metabolic rate. And your base metabolic rate is going to tell you how many calories you need to consume in a day in order to maintain your current weight. Right? So let's go ahead and we'll share that with you right now. And this is calculator.net, and it's going to take you to your BMR calculator. Oh my God, I really should have cleared my throat before I came online. All right, and you're going to do your height and your weight in centimeters, right? And so I think I am 175. Is that correct? Wait a minute, hold on. 5'8" in centimeters. 5'8" in centimeters is 172. Okay, we'll say 173. And we'll say okay, so we'll say I am 160 pounds, convert to kilograms. Okay, so that would be 72.5. 72.5. We'll say 73 since I've been a little heavy lately. Okay, so that's going to tell me that my BMR, in order to maintain my current weight, I need to consume 1,501 calories a day. So if I go under 1,500 kcal, I will lose weight. If I only consume 1,500 kcal, I will lose weight because The only thing you're going to get from a basal metabolic rate is the bare minimum of calories you need in order to maintain basic body function. So, what happens if you start to add exercise or physical activity? Say you're burning an extra two, just running around throughout the day, doing daily activities, you're going to burn at least 500 kcal a day, right? So we assume if you are burning 500 calories a day in physical activities, then if you consume your basal metabolic rate of 1500 kcal, you would lose approximately 1 to 2 pounds a week. Does that make sense? So the basal metabolic rate is the amount of calories your body needs in order to get your heart to function, to get your body's basic organ function to work. Now, if you're sedentary, you're still doing some physical activity. So if I'm sedentary, right, then being sedentary, I'm going to be consuming about 300 kcal a day. That's walking around, fixing yourself a sandwich. So I would still be losing about a pound a week, even if I was sedentary, because I would have a deficit of 300 kcal a day. But if you add to that exercise, my body would need 2,000 calories in order not to lose weight. So if I'm consuming a BMI of 1,500, and I'm exercising 1 to 3 times a week, then I have a deficit of 500 kcal. So how many kcal do you need to? How much kcal is worth 1 pound? How much kcal is worth 1 pound? 3,200 approximately. Right? Have I lost the audience already? All right, I'm here to empower you. Okay, so yeah, so we want you to have a deficit of 3,200 kcal a week in order to lose 1 pound. Right? So you can do that by, say, your basal metabolic rate is 1,500 and you're doing a little bit of exercise, and you are keeping it at 1,500. I should lose a pound a week. And this is the fastest way to drop your blood pressure because you are taking pressure off the pipes. Right? So the best way to do this is with intermittent fasting. Yep. Sorry. And this is something that they used to do all the time, right? People used to do intermittent fasting all the time. It was called the 1950s. Dinner at the table at 6 p.m., woman, right? Guy would come home from work. She would serve him his cocktail, right? In his favorite chair, because he's the king of his castle. And then she would make dinner, and then he would sit at the table and he would have his 6 p.m. dinner, right? And maybe he'd have an after dinner drink, right? People used to drink a lot in the 50s and 60s. And then he would watch Johnny Carson, right? Watch Johnny Carson, or no, I guess it was Jack Parr back then. And then he would go to sleep, right? So he would go to sleep around 10, 11. So what happens? It means that that person is fasting from 6:30 until 7, 8 a.m. the following morning when his wife is making him flapjacks, right? So he's going to have his pancakes, are going to happen tomorrow at, say 8 a.m. We'll say 7:30. We got to be realistic here because he's got to drive to work. Right? So what happens with a schedule like that is that the person is fasting 13 hours and they may not even realize that they're having a 13-hour window of fasting because they stopped eating at 6:30 and they didn't break their fast again until 7:30 the following day. And what that does is it helps your body clean the pipes, and by cleaning the pipes, you're lowering your blood pressure. Simply by not eating at night. And that's because after the 1950s, what we say is like post 1950s, we had a fourth meal. So this is the problem with everything that started to happen afterwards. What is the fourth meal? What is the fourth meal that Americans are having? Snacks. So you're loading up on calories at night when our ancestors stopped eating at 6:30, right? So you're eating your ice cream, your popcorn, your chips and salsa, maybe. So at that point, you're loading up another 400 to 600 to 800 kcal, and then you're sitting on it. And that's a huge part of why you have hypertension. Because that's going to create more fat and more fluid in the pipes, which is going to raise the pipes. So this is why calorie restriction is one of the fastest ways to drop your blood pressure, simply by not eating after 6:30, or we say 4 hours prior to bed. Right. The other is salt reduction. Right. Make sure you've got your salt reduction happening so that you don't want to be consuming more than 1,800 milligrams of sodium a day. Use salt sparingly. Right. So those are two things you can do: calorie restriction and using salt sparingly. The other thing you can do is increase plant consumption. Why is increasing plant consumption important? What have we learned about that? We've learned that by consuming more plants, good things start to happen, right? Good things start to happen when we consume plants, right? So when we're consuming more plants, if you can't do raw plants, you can think about doing steamed plants, right? But when you have an elevation of nitrous oxide is what we're looking for. Nitrous oxide will help relax the arteries, and that will take down blood pressure. So that is why we talk about plants. And the difference between the arteries of, say, somebody who's an omnivore, well, if you're an omnivore, that's okay, but you want to be eating a plant-based diet, or a diet that's rich in plants, and that is going to really help with the overall health of the arteries. And then the final thing that I recommend is omega-3s. So we think about anything that's high in omegas, which will cause relaxation of the arteries. And then somebody had mentioned it earlier, which is exercise. And exercise will also exercise your arteries, it will widen them, it'll increase heart output and function. So, those are 5 things that you can do in order to improve your blood pressure. Be like Dr. Whimsy, right? With my extremely low blood pressure, right? Be inspired. All right, so we have a couple of announcements today. Our Book of the Month Club is back in full swing. For those of you who want to join our Book of the Month Club, we are happy to have you. We select books from regular people who have often self published or who are undiscovered, often spiritual subjects. Nowhere, now ever. I have trouble reading this. Now ever by Kristen Bach. Now ever by Kristen Bach is the selected book of the month of June. Now ever, book of the month. All right, there are evidently 2 Kristen Bach authors. Um, and yeah, so she's an independent author. And I need to, if you're watching Christina Bach, congratulations, you won the June for a book of the month. If you have a book of the month and you would like to send it to our Book of the Month Club to be considered for our Taco Tuesdays Book of the Month, send it to Dr. Whimsy Anderson, care of Dr. Whimsy Anderson, 1819 Southwest 5th, Jefferson, Portland, Oregon. Sorry, let me try again. 1819 Southwest 5th Avenue, Suite 116, Portland, Oregon, 97201. And who knows, maybe your book will be selected for Taco Tuesday's Book of the Month. This is the story of high school misfit Stevie juggles secrets, her haunting visions, her uncanny gift, a confusing relationship that might be love, and searches halfway around the world for her lost dad. 2 shocking deaths lead her with unlikely allies deep into the crocodile-ridden Australian bush, where she uncovers alarming truths about her family and herself. Back home in Seattle, she is rocketed by new revelations. Great, and it takes place in Seattle, even better. All right, so first thing that people wanted to talk about had to do with the reflecting pool woes. Oh my God. Have you guys all heard about the reflecting pool? Is it just hype, or is DC beginning to fall apart since Trump became the president? Discuss, discuss, discuss. What is going on with the reflecting pool? Well, there's been some interesting stuff coming out in the Huffington Post. Any of you like to look at the Huffington Post? They get some good articles occasionally. But they've started arresting people and blaming. In plainer words, if you go to the reflecting pool and you say, "Hey, there's a piece of blue stuff floating on the top," and you reach out and you touch it, the police will come and arrest you and say you're a vandal. This is happening because you caused it. This is the latest that's going on with the reflecting pool. So I do check the Huffington Post every day. I do think they write some good articles. Some people think it's biased, but so basically, Trump has been trying to blame the reflecting pool woes on vandalism because it will likely be drained again for repairs. Look at that. Oh my God in heaven.
It's not just the million kids who are going to die this year of something totally.
Oops, didn't want to do that. Like him, though. Okay, let's see here.
Pool, and it's definitely a bit green. The green is more noticeable when you aren't seeing the reflection of the sky, which makes it look more blue, but there's definitely some algae going on here and some people cheering for the algae.
Let's go, algae! Let's go, algae! Let's go, algae! Let's go!
It's not.
Okay, so what's going on here? Okay, and then you have the White House repairs where they're trying to create a bunker to hide out from the nuclear war that they fear is going to happen because they're terrified that Vladimir Putin wasn't stopped soon enough, right? So what are they doing? They're frightened that Vladimir Putin is going to go crazy, right? He's gonna, I don't know, drop a nuke or something. A lot of people are frightened of his behavior. He's gotten rather close to, sending drones into Zaporizhia, for example, which is the largest nuclear power plant in that part of the world. And there's always this fear that a dirty bomb could take things out. So that is the fear that a lot of people have, that we are really close to a potential nuclear disaster, just with Putin threatening to use nukes and bomb a nuclear power plant. So you can't help but wonder if all these crazy repairs we've been seeing have something to do with this fear of, increasing fears that things are worse now than they have ever been since the Cold War got started. And here is just the Newsweek article that's come out in the past, the October 24th article, showing just how bad look, it hasn't gotten any better. If anything, it's gotten a lot worse. And for that reason, a lot of people have just asked themselves if Trump isn't responsible for the fact that everything just is falling apart. Look at this; it's just falling apart here. This is the recent article. Look at that. I don't understand. I understand that these repairs have to happen. It's an old building; they're constantly repairing it, but it definitely is not. It's not looking good, people. It's not looking good. And a lot of people are blaming the current administration for a lot of the problems that are taking place in Washington, D.C., whether it's the fact that the reflecting pool looks like a disaster, or this is what our White House looks like right now. Well, this is the East Wing. As a remote viewer, I've landed there. And you see that window to the left? Right here. This is what I tried to get into. I came around onto the east side, and this area here that they are gutting is the area that I tried to march into as a remote viewer. And what I found when I got into that window on the left side is that there are actually several floors, maybe 3 or 4 floors underneath this floor here. And there's a long hallway between east and west underneath, which I found when I remote viewed. And I also found that there were some storage areas. It's a hallway to carry food from the kitchens from east to west, can be found underneath. There is a bomb shelter, but what you also find underneath that ground floor is you find storing artifacts. Not everything is stored at the Smithsonian. There's some stuff that's stored locally. One of the things that's stored locally underneath in that area on the east end, which I found when I remote viewed, had to do with previous holidays. So there were huge sections that had kind of been forgotten in a way, which was Old Christmas and Easter. So the first lady could go down there and begin to pick through old stuff that had been used in the past for Christmases past, etc. And the idea was to recycle some of it. And I think it was people like Jackie Kennedy that came up with that idea, Pat Nixon, others, where they tried to recycle stuff from the 1930s and 40s, Merry Little Christmas, trying to reuse some of the stuff, and which I think is a great idea, rather than having new stuff every single time. And I think Michelle Obama did that quite a bit as well, this idea of recycling old stuff. That stuff can be found based on the remote underneath this east area here, which you're seeing here. So that's where I went. And I found that there were a couple floors underneath by doing that remote view. Here's another image. You can see the west side and the east side. And you see how long it is? Well, underneath that long area is a long hall, a couple floors underneath, that carries stuff back and forth. And also, my understanding is that the kitchens are underneath the west wing. There's a kitchen there. Yeah, but you have this huge hallway I found underneath these two adjoining the west and east sides. So that was it was kind of an interesting remote view for me, as a remote viewer, to be able to see that. So those are the feelings about the reflecting pool. You folks may have different feelings about it. You may feel like, you know what, no matter who had done it, it would have been messed up. I totally get it. But that is kind of what the feeling is about the reflecting pool. All right. So the next thing that people wanted to talk about had to do with what's going on in Britain. And that had to do with the fact that Keir Starmer is resigning. Am I pronouncing that right? Let me find out about this. How do you think that Starmer, excuse me, Starmer, I better correct that. I've got an error here. So how do you think that differs from the United States, in the sense that Keir Starmer just walks out and says, you know what, no contest. Nobody has any faith in this guy. Nobody has any faith in me. 6 hours ago, look, an hour ago, that it's looking pretty bad for Keir Starmer. I'll be honest with you. How do you think this differs from the United States, right? In the United States, do people just walk off the job? Do they just quit? Can a president just quit? Well, Nixon quit, right? Happy summer, by the way. This is the summer solstice. So the floor director pipes in. Good to see you here, Joel. I guess Joel's back from he had an appointment. I guess he's back. Starmer quit because he tried to please everyone. Do you think there's some truth to that? Because I think there is. I think that on the one hand, the hardliners wanted stricter policies on immigration. The left wanted more tolerance and was concerned about the poor. And he was trying to, we will deport them right away. And we will, he was trying to be all things to all people. And so a lot of people felt that Keir Starmer didn't believe really in anything. And it's kind of interesting to see how that differs from what we see here in the United States, because here in the United States, it takes a lot to get a president to quit. Whereas in Britain, no contest. If it's no contest, you just quit. And I just think that that's really interesting. Should we be concerned, those of us that are left of center, in the sense that what is the future of Britain at this point? In the sense that a lot of people are concerned that they're moving towards a right wing. We're seeing this scary emergence of this alt right and this conservatism that's starting to sweep both the United States, anti immigrant. Obviously, you don't want violent criminals moving in. We're not talking about that. There are people that are, uh, most people that immigrate are good people, right? They just want a good life for themselves and their families. But I think it's very likely no, Joel, because the growing feeling here is anti-immigration, and so I think it's very likely what we see with Starmer is he resigns and they start just mass deportations. Some of those deportations are good, if people are criminals and thugs from other countries where they're escaping criminal prosecution and then those people need to go. We'll see how it plays out, but I'm a little concerned. I'm worried as a liberal. I'm worried, very worried about the direction. I think there's a lot of misinformation about liberals. Like I'm a liberal, that we want the borders open to rapists and criminals and violent, dark hordes of people. The scary, spooky, dark people are coming to get us, and that's really not a liberal stance. We love our children. We don't want our children to be harmed. But we also understand that immigration is important and a healthy process. Well, I don't even think Muslims want those people in Britain. I have a lot of Muslim friends, and we don't want them here. They scare the hell out. It's like imagine if you were just a regular Christian, right? There's a lot of Christians that watch this channel. They're real Christians. They try to be like Jesus. They walk with Christ. It's a beautiful faith. It's a beautiful religion, Christianity. It's a beautiful religion, similar to Buddhism. They walk with faith. They walk with Christ, just like they walk with the Buddha, trying to be as aligned with the perfect soul, right? So there are a lot of Christians that are terrified of the Christian right. Similarly, I have a ton of Muslim friends that are scared to death of the Muslim extremist. Yeah. So what did a friend of mine say? She said, trust me, we are doing our best to deal with them. Like, you see this a lot with the United Arab Emirates. Like, we know they're crazy. You look at what's happening with Iran bombing United Arab Emirates and by bombing Kuwait, Muslims killing Muslims because they're not religious enough. So they're like, everything you're saying about these crazies, we could tell you 10 times more, right? So, yeah, I really love my Muslim friends. Actually, I feel really connected to many parts of the Muslim faith. Actually, I took courses in Islam at University of Washington and made a lot of friends in the Muslim student groups, and we had our Eid and the Prophet's birthday and hanging out and getting to know about the culture, and I found it actually quite uplifting, quite positive. All right, so listen, JD and Trump are sparring. That is the next subject, and oh my God, you folks gave me so many. Yeah, they're the people of Abraham. Beautiful faith, beautiful faith. Listen, you guys, we got to talk about this. JD and Trump are sparring, and according to people close to, we got to talk about this because this was the #1 comment by you folks. JD and Trump sparring. Is that how you spell sparring? What are you thinking, people? What are you thinking about this? Do you think it's going to get so bad that Trump tries to kill JD the way he tried to lynch his former VP? Hi, Geocosmic Valentine. We're just talking about the main subject, the number one subject you guys wanted to talk about, because I look at your guys' comments and I had hundreds, not just one or two. I had hundreds about this. The number one thing that you guys wanted to talk about was, is it true that there's growing tensions between JD and Trump? Do you think that Trump is going to attempt to fire him? That was one question. Do you think that JD is attempting to sabotage Trump? Do you think that they're actively working against one another? Do you think that JD is trying to take over? Like, you guys had hundreds of questions about this subject. No, most are just regular people. Yeah, crazies are. The crazies are. The crazies are. We don't want religious extremism. Yeah. We want normal people. Um, I think it's real, you guys. I think that this is a real thing. I think that we are. I don't think that you guys are imagining this. First off, the response from all of you was huge, but I think you guys are really seeing something, and I think that when JD Vance started popping off and basically telling the Israelis "screw you," and you know, it's don't cop. You're not the one getting bombed. You know, you're not the one that has ballistic missiles being fired on you. You're not the one who's being, we're being fired upon. Israel is being fired upon, right? We have evacuated our cities in the north because Hezbollah terrorists funded with Iran money, money that was linked back to the Obama deal, right? This is why the Obama deal didn't work out, right? Even though we love Obama, it didn't work, right? It was naive to think they weren't going to do that with the money, right? So Iran is bombing the crap out of United Arab Emirates. You can imagine how terrifying it would be to be under ballistic missiles being bombed by these religious nut jobs. So JD Vance's comments, those are the comments of somebody that's not running to a bomb shelter every 10 minutes, like they are in Kuwait, like they are in United Arab Emirates, like they are in Israel, Saudi Arabia. Qatar has also been bombed. Jordan is afraid for their safety. Egypt is afraid for their safety. Lebanon is under Iranian occupation. It started off as a Christian country. It's being occupied by religious extremists, which we just talked about. So how inappropriate is it for JD Vance to start marching around like John Wayne, telling people that are running from bombs and into shelter, well, screw you, nobody likes you. We're going to do whatever the hell we like. Trump's the only one that likes you. It created a huge rift, and you can see that the rift that's starting to form, does Trump even have the energy to handle JD Vance? Excuse me. Does Trump even have the energy to handle JD Vance? Because you also get the impression that Trump is so damn tired that he doesn't even have the energy to take on the cockiness of JD Vance. You know, people wanting to know why Kushner is there. Kushner is there because ultimately it's about the Abraham Accords, which is a trade deal between the Arab nations and Israel. And who is getting in the way and creating all the problems is Iran. So Iran is trying to break up that trade deal. And I think that a lot of Americans don't understand what is happening. There is a trade deal, a massive trade deal between Europe, India, the Arab nations, states, and Israel to create a peace deal that will open up trade. And the number one, that is the number one group that is threatened, the number one country that is threatened by that trade deal is Iran and their ally, Russia. So that's what's happening. It is an attempt to stop this trade deal. I don't think that JD Vance has the education to be in this situation. He clearly does not have an understanding of what a war zone is, what a war zone looks like, or what the hell is really going on down at the ground. And this is the problem we're seeing a lot with American politics. People are just talking out of their ass, and haven't been down in the bunker, down in these complicated underground tunnels, armed to the teeth. Armed to the teeth. And it's just going to take one missile to wipe out Israel and a couple to take out United Arab Emirates. And if these religious nut jobs do get control of a nuclear weapon, and they're determined to get control of a nuclear weapon, are we going to be held hostage by these lunatics someday? So if that's what's really going on, do we have a choice other than to take out Iran? If all they want to do is use their money to build factories to exterminate and gas all the Jews, they want to kill and you're a Jew, what option do you have? To lie down and die like a good Jew? That's Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan said that, right? You're supposed to lie down and die like a good Jew. That's what a good Jew does. You lie down and die, right? Bob Dylan. Or do you say, we have to take these nut jobs out? And this is the problem we're seeing with illiteracy on college campuses. Illiteracy in the United States is just a genuine lack of information about what the hell is going. Look at this. Look at how complicated those underground tunnels are. These are not just people crawling in a hole. These are incredibly advanced factories, and this is not their country. This is these are Iranians invading Lebanon, a Christian country. So when people scream about the Israelis in Lebanon, they don't understand that it's not the Israelis that are causing the problem here, right? The more you know, this is why education is so important. So why do people not know this? Because Qatar, who's an ally of Hamas, has been part of a multi-billion-dollar disinformation campaign on college campuses, and it's been very effective. That is what we think is the problem. Yeah. That is what we think is the problem. All right. So in answer to stress about JD and Trump, I think that JD should not get cocky. I think that he could face some serious consequences if he continues to threaten Trump or act like he's going to be the next president. I think it could go very, very bad for JD Vance if he keeps that up. And I actually agree with Joel Tilson, the floor director here, and know that we are all registered Democrats. So this isn't a Republican thing, but a coalition of NATO, which I think would be great because they can be part of the Abraham Accords. Middle Eastern countries join a USA to stop the Iranian regime. We want the Iranian people to be free and living in a democracy, but right now they're under occupation by psychopaths. Yeah, we should not be taking bribes, and they should not be replacing the Department of Education. 6.5 billion in US universities. Do not read Al Jazeera, boycott Al Jazeera. So that brings me to the first remote view. I see a very bad end for the country of Qatar. I see a very, very bad end for the country of Qatar. Qatar. We say Qatar in Israel. I had a vision that Qatar was a war zone that looked an awful lot like Syria, that the cities had been destroyed, that it was demolished. And I think what's going to happen is that Islamic extremists are going to attempt to take Qatar, and I think it's going to destroy the economy of Qatar. And I think that we're going to see civil war in Qatar. Yeah. And I think that Qatar has no future, which is interesting because it has some of the strongest economy in the world. The Qatar dinar, yeah, I think it's going down. And I think the country as a whole is going down. So if you're investing in foreign money, don't invest in that country. Yeah, because I don't see a future for Qatar. I think it's actually going to happen. It's shockingly quickly. I think there's a civil war that's happening. I think it's under the surface. I think it's brewing. And I think that Qatar is going to be in a very bad place within 2 to 3 years. You have to realize how much money we are talking about, right? We're talking about a tremendous amount of money. And nobody is going to get in the way of that, right? So if you're talking about a trade route coming in, first off, people are afraid for their safety because of what's going on in the Middle East. People are afraid that these lunatics are going to take over and kill anything and everything that walks, right? So, if you just look at the number, the amount, if we're talking about the building of this new trade route, we're talking about trillions of dollars, right? Joel knows something about this. What is the Global Oasis Alliance? And what is the Global Oasis Alliance relationship with the Abraham Accords? Why is this happening, people? Are you plugged in? Why is it happening? Why is Jared Kushner there? What does that have to do with Iran? What does that have to do with Gaza? So this trade route, I was working on my PhD. I'm still trying to get a committee together. I started with Haifa U. So I started writing about it and doing research on it. But this is the abstract, and you can see just with Gaza, this is just with Gaza, $350 billion in trade. And then you can see here, United Nations and Abraham Accords, AA partners, and contributions from Sir Richard Branson, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Mackenzie Scott. You can see all this information here. You guys read this? Do you see these numbers? This is the trade going from the Abraham Accords in and out of that area. This doesn't include India. This doesn't include United Arab Emirates with the rest of the Arab world and Israel. This is just one section of that trade route. Look at the numbers we're talking about. Now multiply those numbers by 12, and you'll get a rough idea of just how much is riding on this deal. Sit and meditate on those numbers. We're talking trillions of dollars here. So who is blocking that, right? So who is blocking this multi-trillion-dollar deal? Does everything start to come together now for you? So why is the war really going on? And why is Iran really bombing the crap out of this area? And why is Kushner there? What are they really wanting control of? It's about killing the Jews, right? And taking over the West. That's true. But it's about something much, much stronger than that, right? It's about that trade route, right? It's about that trade route. We got to get that trade route. We're going to do everything in our power to get that trade route. That's what's really going on, you guys. All right, so that brings us to the. Thank you, Joel, for being here. Give a shout out to the floor director, Joel. Joel's a pretty educated guy. He reads this stuff all day long. Maybe he should write my PhD. Putin and Iran, right? We talked about this a lot. Russia trade route, Iran. All right, so have you seen that trade route? Excuse me, have you seen my trade route? I would like that back, please. You took my trade route. Yes, Mommy, he took my trade route. That is precisely, yes, yes. Oh my God. Look at India in the middle of this. What are you seeing, people? Oh, that's why. I know. Why don't they talk about this stuff in the news? Because they're dumbing you down and they want you to be stupid. Talking about that trade route. Yeah. They're going to do everything in their power to save their trade route. Why was Libya bombed? Why did Barack Obama bomb Libya? Anybody know that? Why was Putin so hostile to Hillary Clinton? Why was Hillary Clinton targeted by Putin? Dun 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 da 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 ba ba da 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 bum bum. Because she was going to continue Obama's policies of taking out this trade route. Yeah, I know. I know. So, how much was that trade route worth for Putin? Dun 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 dun. Ba 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 da 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 ba ba. Cha, cha, cha. What happened? What did Barack Obama do? What did Barack Obama do? Soon after these pictures were taken. You say you want a revolution. Well, took out the trade route. Yep. Mm-hmm. There you go. All right, we're going to go ahead and do the empath prayer, and then we will blitz, blitz, blitz away. We're going to start with a quick collective reading for everybody. Thank you all for attending today's brunch. We're having a rollicking good time. Joel is back. I guess he took off. I had something to do, and now he's back. It's the trade wars. And this is what we have been talking about for some time. Who here can recall the discussion that we had some time ago about Vladimir Putin and his trade routes? The document was called What Putin Wants Inside the Mind of Vladimir Putin. And if you haven't seen that remote view, I would strongly recommend. It was before I even started my PhD. It was just based solely on stuff I discovered from remote viewing. And we'll go ahead and show you that real quickly here, and then we're going to go ahead and do the collective reading. This is Inside the Mind of Vladimir Putin. My American accent was trash. I couldn't do an American accent, and that sometimes will happen when I do a remote, because I worked really hard to get my American accent back because I had left the United States for many, many years. So I'm struggling a little bit with my accent because I was I was getting a lot of Russian feedback, so it was impacting my language, which I thought was kind of an interesting thing to bring back because I am a trained remote viewer. So when I started doing deep trance work with Putin, I could not maintain an American accent. So I was working really hard to enunciate my English because I had lost my American accent. But let's take a look. Hello, hello, my fellow sensitive people. So, all right, so this is a really complicated remote. I was wary to do it, but once I do it, I'm going to be over with it, and then we won't have to do it ever again. So this is a remote on Vladimir Putin and seeing into the mind of Vladimir Putin. It is an incredibly unusual world you're about to enter right now. Yes. All right, so the first time that I attempted to, I did my meditation, got into a very relaxed state, and it was kind of interesting. The first thing I saw the lights of Moscow, and it was beautiful. I saw Moscow, and I saw
Moscow at night, and the lights of Moscow shining on the rest of the world. And so this is the way that Putin sees Moscow. He sees Moscow as the redeemer of the world, that the lights of Moscow will shine on the world, and that the sun will never set on the Kremlin. The sun will never set on Russia. This is the true destiny of Russia. The true destiny of Russia is that the sun will never set on Mother Russia. And he believes that the true church, the holy church that will govern the world, the true destiny of the church of Russia is to bring a light to the rest of the world. So the lights of Moscow will be a light to the rest of the world, bearing the torch of the true church, which is the Russian Orthodox Church, but a specific sect, an ultra-Orthodox version of the church. And Putin believes that he is the prophesied person that will save Russia and bring the light of Russia to the rest of the world. And so in his small community of believers of this extreme version of Russian Orthodoxy, he perceives of himself as the prophecy. He's the chosen one who is destined to bring the lights of Russia to the rest of the world. It's his destiny, and it is the destiny of Russia and the true church to do this. So that is the first vision. The second vision I saw was trade routes, and that is really important for people watching this channel who want to understand Putin. You have to understand trade routes and trade partners. And so I am going to be showing you photographs of maps or images of maps so that you can understand the trade routes that we're talking about. And these trade routes go back hundreds and even thousands of years. And if you're looking at Russia, Russia has two areas that they are attempting to get their trade out. One is through the Caspian Sea, and the other is through the Black Sea. Now, the trade partners traditionally that Russia has had in the area is predominantly Iran, and it's been trading on the Caspian Sea with Iran for some time. This is why Russia is an ally of Iran and Syria, because of trade. Now, America, our ally in the area is Saudi Arabia and Israel. So if you're looking at the map, you can see that no man's land is Syria. And what Putin is trying to do is...
The no man's land is Syria. So what happened to Syria? Syria was under the Assad regime, and Assad was an ally of Iran and Russia. So what happened to Assad? Assad was taken down by Muslim extremists, Sunni Muslim Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda took him down. And so what happened to Assad? Assad fled to Russia, the Assad regime, right? The Assad family, who are Alawites, they're not Muslims, they're Alawites. What happened to the Assad family? His father died. He had been terrorizing Syria for some time. He took over for his father, and he was an ally of Iran and Russia for these trade routes. You can see Turkey there. You can see Lebanon. You can see Israel. And again, control of the trade routes. You can see Russia over there, the Black Sea and the Caspian Seas. Trading with Russia via the Black Sea. Trading with Iran via the Caspian. And you can see Georgia right there in the middle. That's where I'm going to be in October. I'll be, anybody want to join me? I'll be doing a tour of Georgia for about 2-3 weeks in October. But that is the amazing Georgia, the country of Georgia. Great food. You can see it's just locked between the Black Sea and the Caspian over on the right. But that's the trade route. And when you're talking about Turkish Stream, which is oil revenue that's going through the Black Sea into Russia to the rest of the world, that was one of those trade routes that Obama was trying to knock out. You can also see Russia to the right, Iran, and then to the far right, you can see Afghanistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan. You can see just how large that and ancient that trade route was. Azerbaijan, Georgia, Armenia. But down on the bottom, you can see Saudi. To the left, you can see Jordan and Israel, and underneath that, Egypt. To the in the southwest would be Egypt. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about those trade routes. That is the cause. That is the problem. That is how this all got started. By the way, this film you're looking at was shot 6-7 years ago. This is the power of remote viewing. This is the danger of remote viewing, right? This is why people don't want you remote viewing, because this lady, Whimsy, right, started doing some remote viewing, and she started uncovering documents, and then she started recording her documents. Like, hey, Syria, that's a problem. Well, Syria's finished now. Syria collapsed, right? So I accessed a lot of private documents. I found out a ton of information on Putin and how he was making his money through the drug trade, going in from Afghanistan during the Cold War and smuggling opium in to Europe. That was one of his first business ventures. We found out all kinds of crap about him.
He's trying to create oligarchs all over the world. He's trying to prop up governments all over the world that will allow the lights of Moscow to shine on the world 24 hours a day.
Who's that guy on his left? Who was that? Who was the guy he saw who was standing next to? Oh, why can't I find it? Who was the guy he was standing next to? He was standing next to Assad.
That will save Russia and bring the light of Russia to the rest of the world.
So he's going to bring Russia to the lights of Moscow to the rest of the world, and he's going to save the planet, right? He's going to be the Messiah.
The trade routes that we're talking about. And these trade routes go back.
Here's the trade routes. The guy next to him was Assad.
And anger for Vladimir Putin, because he just wants to get his trade out. One of the areas that we blocked, I'll give you an example of one of the areas of frustration for Putin. The Magnitsky Act, when we blocked trade, we all know about that. They retaliated with stopping Russian adoption, Americans adopting Russians. Everybody knows about that. But there are other things that Americans don't know about. For example, Putin was negotiating a deal with Libya to build a train system starting in Tripoli that would go into Africa. Because I got the hit, I did the remote, and then I started to Google, like, what am I seeing? So he had a relationship with Libya. It was a multi-billion-dollar contract, and he was going to be able to begin building in Tripoli, and then that was going to allow him to also open trade from Tripoli all the way into Africa. And it would have been good for Africa because Africa desperately needs infrastructure.
So you can see how long, I don't want to go too much more into this, but the point I'm trying to make is I wanted people to see these new trade routes and to understand that all of the conflict that we're seeing right now, everything that we're seeing right now is something that has been built up over time because we are fighting for these trade routes. And that is the takeaway of how we got to this point. Yeah, I lost the picture. I couldn't find the picture. But the guy to his right was Assad out of Syria. So does that fill in the blanks a little bit about how we got to where we're at right now? I'm very grateful for my skills. I'm very grateful that I learned remote viewing because I'm able to find out all kinds of crazy shit that doesn't get covered in the news. All right, we're going to go ahead. We're going to bring in the Empath prayer. If you would like to receive a healing at this time, please give us your name or the name of the person you would like us to pray for, and we will include them in our prayers as we bring in the Empath prayer. And after that, we will blitz, blitz, blitz away. And I'm looking forward to it. So we're going to start with a collective reading. But yeah, give us the names of the people you want us to pray for so we can go ahead and pray for those who need healing at this time. Also, if you like any part of this, please think about donating to our charity. We are still raising money for Hope for Paws for the month of June. They do a great work in terms of helping animals who need to be rescued. So think about any donations you can make to Hope for Paws. We would be perfectly happy with them. So thank you. Paws. There's my little paws. Yes, I'm going to give you paws. Good to see you all here. All right. Let's bring in the Empath prayer. Let's start praying for people. We're going to do a collective reading, and then we'll do the blitzes. Yeah. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively as a community, we say, Amen. And for those people who are requesting healings today, we come together at this time and we pray. We pray that you and those you love receive a perfect healing in mind, body, and in spirit. And together again, collectively as a community, we say, Amen, Amen, Amen. May all souls be healed. May all souls be healed. All right. So we're going to start with a collective reading. This collective is for anyone who watches it. It is a smorgasbord of collective consciousness. If you believe in Jung, if anything, if any of the messages don't apply to you, just pass it down and feel free to hand it over to whoever the message may be relevant for. Let's take a look at today's collective reading. I'm excited. I have no idea what the message from Spirit is today for the collective, but I believe human beings will come through this. I don't know what the economy of Russia is going to be like if they don't have any trade routes left. You know, we took out Nord Stream. We've destroyed, we've done everything we can to sabotage all of the trade routes of Putin. We've completely boxed him in. He thinks that the fall of the Soviet Union was the worst. He wants the fall of the United States, that all of our states be broken up. So that you know how it feels. I mean, that's kind of Putin's feeling about it is, yeah, California, tear that apart. And then Texas is going to go independent. Right? You have idiots like Ted Cruz. Yeah, we're going to go independent, but we're going to take NASA. Talk about an idiot. You can't take a federal, you can't go independent and then steal a federal institution like that, even if that was possible to go independent, as you wouldn't be able to march off with parts of the federal government. I mean, what a nut job. I can't believe that guy is still in the Senate with that level of stupid. He was talking about we're going to secede from the Union and we're taking NASA. It's like, are you what are you on cocaine? I mean, like what drug? Cruz, what a moron. You sound like a freaking. Well, Oregon's going to cede from the Union, and we're taking our salmon with us. We're taking the salmon. That's right. All that canned salmon. It's ours. We're keeping it. We're going to take those apples too. And the Hood River peanut butter. And the Tillamook cheese. We got some pretty good food out here. All right, where you are at right now. So, one of the things that Spirit keeps wanting us to talk about is this idea of mastery. All right, this is something that the universe wants you to meditate on is mastery. You don't have to do anything. You can just be a regular person and just like say, you know what, I don't want to be special. I don't want to do anything special with my life. But if you decide to play the game of life, if you decide what the hell, I'll play. I'll roll the dice. I'll enter this prison planet. I'm I'm sitting here in my apartment in Portland, Oregon. I'm doing prison time on this prison planet, right? One, if you buy into the idea that you're here for a reason, one of the main things you are here to do is to achieve mastery for service, to raise the planet to something greater, right? So that your life, so that you can be part of something greater than yourself, right? So, what does it take to master something? What is required in order to master something is a love relationship. So we use the analogy of a love relationship because I think it's a really good one. Say you want to be a great writer. Say you want to be a great musician. Say you want to master something. What is this? Name it. What are you trying to master? As an art form, as a profession, something that you've always wanted to master. Understand that mastery is a relationship. Mastery is a relationship. I want to play the violin. How much will I achieve mastery? The degree to which I love the thing I am attempting to master. So, love is a part of mastery. So when you start off a love affair, it usually starts with a cup of coffee. Hey, Jane, you're really pretty. Hey, Paul, you're kind of hot, right? Would you like to go for coffee? Right? It usually starts with a conversation and a cup of coffee, right? Can I carry your books to class? Right? Maybe going to court meant carrying her books. That's a chivalrous thing to do. Carry your books to class, right? So it starts with small gestures. Say you want to learn the violin. It starts with small gestures. Hey, I'm going to get myself a violin and I'm going to go a courting with my violin. I'm going to take a class. That is the beginning of the relationship, or it's like holding her books. But the degree to which you achieve mastery is the degree to which you nurture that courtship. So you have to nurture the courtship. It is not enough to say that you want to master the thing you are in love with. Love doesn't mean anything if the relationship is not nurtured. So the thing that you love, that you want to master, you must nurture. At this point in your life and in the life of many people at this time, we all feel very, very vulnerable, right? We all feel that we are defending ourselves against the outside world, right? I don't know what happened to Letitia. This happens frequently to me. Yeah, I don't know what happened to it. 1 minute I'm talking to you, and the next minute I've lost my tissue. I hate when this happens. Excuse me, guys. Hold on. Oh, is that my feet? God, I hate when that happens. I'm in the middle of a reading and my tissue drops. Okay, listen. So, happy Father's Day, by the way, to everybody. Yes, thank you. Happy Father's Day. All right, so we're back to the issue of mastery and this idea that mastery is a love affair and you need to nurture it. Where we are at right now is the Seven of Wands. So the Seven of Wands is a need to defend or protect your territory and a feeling that things have ended. Many of you may feel that relationships have ended for you because you no longer feel safe in those relationships. If you're having to kick somebody out of the front door because you're acting fucking crazy, you need to get out now. Right? You ever been in that situation with somebody? Have you ever been the person that's been kicked out? But I wanted to, you got to go, Wims. You're crazy right now. Right? I've been on both sides of that. But base card Seven of Wands is to defend your territory. Like, you need to get the hell away from me. And then Knight of Pentacles is, it is over. This tells me that whatever is going on in our lives, whether it's boundary issues with other people or whatever the challenge is, you are starting to learn to separate and protect yourself. And you're also feeling a little bit vulnerable. So that's the other message. So number one, the first message from Spirit is to focus on mastery, put attention and time into the thing you've mastered. You are not in the middle of a 60-year relationship of two happy seniors that have nurtured and loved one another for decades. If that's not where you are in your skill set with the thing you're trying to master, then you need to give her, him, they more time. My violin I've named Hyphus in honor of Hyphus, right? So Hyphus is an example of somebody who Joshua Hyphus, right? So here would be an example of someone who attained mastery, right? So he has a master class where violinists from all over the world want to meet. There are a few violinists that have been considered to be the greatest violinist in the history of the world. And one of them is Hyphus. So Hyphus came from, it wasn't Odessa. It was somewhere in Eastern Europe. He was discovered to be he was considered to be a master. What do they call it? It's a kid that has talent. I can't remember the name right now, but he came to perform in the United States. His family escaped the Bolsheviks revolution in Europe. And he performed in the United States, and professional violinists said after hearing him, we wanted to smash our violins because he had attained mastery in the violin. But he had attained mastery in the violin because he was in love with the violin. He'd been in love with her since he was 5 years old. His violin was his wife, right? And the reason why he was able to tend, because when you love something, you want to spend all of your time with the thing that you love. Now, there are people who have attained mastery in religion, like Mother Teresa, right? So they are married to God, they are married to Christ. And when you are in love, you want to spend all your time with your wife or your husband or your partner. So for Mother Teresa, that meant always, somebody had seen her child diary, which I guess now is in the Vatican. But one of the first things she wrote in her child's diary was, I love you, God. I love you, Jesus, so much. Like, this was someone who was truly in love. And so, because when you're in love, you want to spend every waking moment with the thing you're in love with. And for Heifetz, that was the violin. And so he was a prodigy. God, why didn't I remember that word? So he was a prodigy at 5. And he could sit and do scales. Most of us can't stand scales for more than 5 to 10 minutes. He could do scales for 8 hours because it was time with his beloved. How quickly he can tune. He knows her so intimately. He knows her so well. It takes him half a second to check to see if she's in tune. That right there, what he just did, that intimidates me as a violinist. Doesn't even think about it. Boom, 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 done. It takes years to be able to do what he just did, to check your violin that quickly. Look at the way he touches her. Look at the way he touches her. He's even careful not to harm any part of her, right? That's his baby. That's his woman. That's his wife, right?
All right, let's see. We'll start with you.
Now, who is he working with? He's working with the greatest violinist in the United States. Do you think that they feel confident right about now? This is the master's class for the masters. And they're sitting with the greatest violinist who's ever lived. How confident do you think that they are? These are people that are performing at Carnegie Hall. These are Violin 1, Carnegie Hall. And look at how freaking terrified they are to be in the same room with Heifetz. Taking the guy 20 minutes just to open up his violin case. That's how terrified he is.
All right, bud.
Look at how scared he is. Oh my God. He's waited how long to have this moment with Heifetz? And look at it just blows my mind.
What did you bring today?
I have the quartet number.
So, these people are the greatest people I've ever, and look at them. You can see how long it takes for him to tune. So that is something I really wanted people to see. I really wanted people to see mastery, that this is what it is. This is the key that's going to help you get to mastery. I want you to fall in love. I want you to fall in love with that thing that you have mastery with. No, he was not a savant. He was a regular kid. He didn't have autism or anything. He was just a kid in love. Are you in love? Are you in love enough to give your life to that thing that you're in love with? That is the thing we want you to think about as you move towards mastery, which is one of the main things you're called to do on this planet, is to master something. Well, this has to do with one of the things you're trying to master in terms of your personal development. And that's good. We all have to do. That's a given that you have to master loving yourself. But we're talking about the mastery of a skill. But you could also argue that Mother Teresa had a skill, which was to be, her calling was the clergy, right? All right. So we have you defending yourself, and we have things ending. Go back to the things you loved when you were younger. If you don't know what to do with your life right now, if you can't decide what to do with your life, go back to the things that you loved, the things that brought you joy when you were younger. Go back to your passion and do not be afraid of your passion as long as your passion is directed. So you want to be careful not to have your passion you want passion over the thing that you love. It is hard for me to get back to my passion. Things happen in life that break your heart. The violin will break your heart, right? Naturopathic medicine will break your heart, right? So my passion in this lifetime was naturopathic medicine. And part of natural medicine and being a healer took me to other areas. Herbal medicine, spiritual healing, psychic healing, remote viewing, medical intuition, being able to be present as a doctor and feel the pain of my patient and say, I'm feeling something's going on in your left kidney. Why am I directed to your left kidney? That is all part of the mastery of becoming a good physician for me. So it all was part of this process of I want to be a healer. I want to be a good healer, right? So, but you will also have your heart broken, and then you have to start again, and then you have to heal the broken heart so you can return back to the passions that you lost. But it's a journey. It's like my relationship with herbal medicine. It's a journey. It's a journey that's gone on since I was 5 years old. The first time I was picking grass and got stung by a bee. Well, this love affair isn't starting off well at all. I was trying to capture bees in glass. I thought that would be fun. Well, the bees didn't like that at all, right? So my first forays into nature and the natural world came with heartache and limits. Like, my wife doesn't like that, smack, right? So whatever it is, this thing you are attempting to master, assume also that there's going to be heartache. Go back to the things you love and bring passion. Understand that part of the lesson was disappointment and heartache, right? So heartache and disappointment are part of that. Be patient and gentle with yourself above all else. Understand that the things you need to do in life shouldn't cost a lot of money. Discipline, time spent. You are someone who desires to serve others. You have a desire to serve others. And so mastery is your ability to serve others. How capable are you of giving a true commitment to yourself or another human being? When you get into a relationship with another person, is 1 foot half out the door? Do you have 1 foot in the door or 1 foot half out the door? Right? Because 7 of Swords is the desire to flee. And this is the thing that will keep all of us from mastery. It was unpleasant. I didn't want to do scales. It was boring. The room was hot. I was having a bad day. I want to go have lunch. So take a look at whether or not you've been able to commit to anything. If you have trouble committing to anything, then you're going to have a hard time committing to the thing you wish to master. Lack of respect in yourself is going to translate into lack of respect for the thing that you're trying to master, and then you will give up. Love is a quiet thing. Love grows over time. The love affair you have with the thing you wanted to achieve or do was like that first cup of coffee, but it's not going to grow into a serious relationship unless you put real time and effort into it. Take the leap of faith and be prepared to be heartbroken and to have failures and to keep going at it over and over and over again. Love yourself and be gentle with yourself, but also understand the process. Think about what it is you want to be to achieve. Is it just the mastery itself, or is something metaphysical happening? As you begin to master that instrument, instrument, something pretty amazing happens, right? And what starts to happen is the metaphysical. The more you study something, first off, you have to love it. You have to love it. Because loving it is going to get you to practice every day. It's all you want to do all day long, right? That's your baby, that's your wife, that's your girl. You're going to make love to your girl all day long, all night long. Right, so here is Jimi Hendrix in the middle of a Berkeley rehearsal, 1970. So again, intimidated musicians, right? Musicians that are like, whoa, how did you do that? Can you go back and replay that riff? That's what that face is saying. What the hell did you just do? You whipped through 20 notes in 1 second. That's what that face is saying. How the hell? How the hell? Whoa, man. So what's the takeaway? The takeaway again is you are just starting out in this relationship. You've just had a cup of coffee maybe, or maybe you've gone on a cup of coffee and maybe you've had a couple crappy dates. That's not the same as where Jimi Hendrix was, where they were living together 24/7, right? For years, right? So take the leap of faith, be gentle with yourself over what you seek. Think about what it is you want to achieve and accept the fact that heartbreak comes with the deal. Anytime you love something, you will have heartbreak. You will also know frustration. There are times I wanted to smash my violin, right? So know that all of that is the process, and know that the process is good. It is good for you. This whole process of being angry and disappointed and frustrated and going back to the art over and over and over again, all of that is part of the process, and it is good for you. All right, that is the collective reading. I hope it gave you some clarity. Of course, if you need to see me for a private reading, I would love to give you a reading. You can book me through Booksy, Dr. Whimsy Anderson through Booksy. You set up for a phone consultation. I call you at the appointed time and we can give you a reading. Know also that I'm in Portland, Oregon. So if you're on the East Coast and you want a 2 p.m., make sure to schedule for 11 a.m. your time. Or no, 11 a.m. my time, which would be 2 p.m. your time. Yeah, because I'm 3 hours behind you if you're on the East Coast. All right, so we're going to go ahead and blitz away, get to all of your questions that you may have about what's happening in the coming weeks. We'll try to get to all of your blitzes. I'm getting the order to blitz away from the floor director. Let's see if there's any questions coming in.